FIDLAR is a punk band that formed in Los Angeles, California in 2009. Comprised of singers and guitarists Zach Carper and Elvis Keane, bassist and singer Brandon Schwartzel, and drummer Max Keane, FIDLAR have earned a large worldwide following in underground music and have put out 3 acclaimed albums. Their latest is called Almost Free and was released on January 25th, 2019 via the labels Mom and Pop, Liberator, and Dynalone. I recently met up with FIDLAR at the Phoenix Concert Theatre in Toronto to have a good talk about their band, how it's become associated with drugs, drinking, and sobriety, SoundCloud rap and Patti Smith, music journalism, the sound and intent of their new album Almost Free, and much, much more. With the support of listeners like you who subscribe to this podcast and spread the word about it, and make flexible monthly pledges at patreon.com/creativecontrol, plus in-kind support from CFRU 93.3 FM, Pizza Trokadero, The Bookshelf, and Planet Bean Coffee in Guelph, and Grandad's Donuts in Hamilton. This is the 455th episode of Creative Control, featuring Elvis, Zach, Max, and Brandon of FIDLAR, with your host, me, Vish Khanna. Hi, guys. How's it going?
Good.
Hi.
Well. Hello.
Very, very good. Oh, Max. Poor Max is in quarantine over there.
He's in quarantine.
Keep it zipped up, buddy.
We have one sick member of FIDLAR. Hey, nice
Canada quarantine.
Just for the people listening, it helps if you can individually introduce yourself. So why don't we start over here?
This is Brandon.
Hi, Brandon. How are you?
Good.
It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, too.
Welcome to Canada. You're not from Canada, right?
No.
Where are you from?
San Diego,
Oh,
California.
San Diego. That's a nice...
Originally.
It's a nice place. One of my favorite bands is from San Diego.
Is it Drive Like Jehu?
It is. Did you know that?
I don't know. I get the
There's
the
not
vibe.
many guesses.
Yeah,
There's like 3 options. And
You got the Drive Like Jehu.
You got Mark Trombino's uniform right now.
I like donuts, that kind of thing. Yeah. I like Drive Like Jehu. I like Hot
I do
Snakes.
too.
Yeah. So did you ever see them?
I saw them. We actually saw them not that long ago in Chicago. They were playing Riot Fest and did like an after show. And then I saw them in San Diego when I was younger, and then also not that long ago, like a few years ago.
Younger? Like, did you see them when they were kind of a going thing?
Kind of. It was like my brothers used to play in bands, so like
their third reunion.
I was like 10 or something. Like I didn't really understand it yet.
Wait, well, what year was it when you were 10?
It was 96.
Okay. Then they played. I thought they were kind of done.
I think so.
Okay, all right. That's amazing. Well, that's cool.
Maybe it was Hot Snakes or like the Obits or a different version.
I didn't. That wasn't fact checking. I just was like, oh, that's amazing that you might have saw them while they were still going. Well, anyway, it's nice to have you on the show, and you, sir.
Hi, I'm Zach.
Hi, Zach. How's it going?
Great, Vish. Vish?
Vish. Yeah, I get it. It gets mispronounced all the time.
How do you spell that?
Well, it's short for Vishal or Vishal.
Vishal?
Yeah, so Vishal.
Big.
Yeah. What's your? Do you have like an ethnic origin that you want to share? Because I'm Indian.
The fuck, bro?
You're not from. Where are you from exactly?
Well, I'm American.
You're around here.
Vish,
You're American.
okay?
Yeah, no, I'm Indian, but I live in Canada.
No, I'm from Hawaii.
You're from Hawaii.
Half Japanese.
I read that and it came out all wrong. I was like, you're not from. Wait a minute, Hawaii is part of America. That didn't make any sense. It
became America in 1961.
Oh, really?
So that's pretty weird that it's like that late.
I didn't realize it was that late. Was it because of Elvis? Not you.
Yeah.
Because Elvis used to go over there and do all those movies.
He was the chief ambassador to Hawaii in those days.
He was. I associate Elvis with... What's that? Max,
it was
from
becoming,
quarantine.
It was like... I think it became ordained like as a state.
There's a base.
Yeah.
Territory.
Territory. There you go.
A territory.
This was not my intention, by the way. I didn't mean to do a geography lesson.
See, the thing about Pearl Harbor is that,
I misspoke and it came out all wrong. This happens to me sometimes. But anyway,
funny.
It's nice to have you here.
Thanks, Vish.
Yeah, and you, sir.
Hi, I'm Elvis.
We were just talking about you.
I know.
Like a second ago.
Trip.
And your
Dang,
relationship to
segue.
Hawaii.
I know.
Elvis, welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Where are you from? Where are you from originally?
Los Angeles.
You're from L.A.
Yes, born and raised.
How's that?
It's nice.
Was it okay?
Yeah.
I've heard things about Los Angeles.
No, it's a great city.
There's earthquakes. There are devastating forest fires.
Yeah, well, there were really bad fires recently. I think I was like 4 years old when the last really big earthquake happened in LA.
89?
Or 94.
Oh, that one.
Northridge.
Right.
So there hasn't been one since then, so that means there's probably one coming pretty soon.
Oh, it's bleak conversation to have with you, Elvis. That was weird. You're already foretelling doom in Los Angeles. I didn't realize that was
and
gonna
my
be a
building is from the 20s that I live in, and I'm in the bottom unit, so I think I'll probably get trampled and die if there is one. So
thing. Okay.
Living on the bottom unit or the top unit is worse.
What's worse? But doesn't it? Well, I don't know how it works.
Who are you? You didn't even get introduced.
Yeah, sorry. We got to go. Well, Elvis,
Chiming
it's
in
nice
back
to meet you.
there.
You want to introduce your brother?
Here's Max. Don't lick the mic.
It's okay. Don't lick it.
the mic.
You're sick. What are you sick with, Max?
I
First
have
of all.
strep throat.
Oh man, that's not good. I had I had pneumonia a few weeks ago.
Eesh.
That's not
Walking pneumonia, they said. So I was totally functional.
good. Yeah.
And you're doing the same thing, right? You're sick, but
Yeah.
you're playing.
I
And
just
you're
had
the
a-
drummer. That's the worst.
I had like a sore throat a couple days ago, and I thought it would just go away, and then I woke up this morning with it kind of hurting, and so I went to a walk-in clinic with your awesome Canadian healthcare, and got in, got out, got antibiotics. I already feel way better.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, you got antibiotics.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're taking it seriously. Well,
Yeah.
And you grew up with your brother, I presume, in Los
Yes,
Angeles.
yeah.
Okay, that was good.
I was 3 when the last earthquake hit. 94 it was.
That's what we just established. We just established that 94. That's correct. Yep. Any memories? Do you have sense memories of the earthquake? Either of you?
I kind of remember like sitting on our parents' bed and feeling like the room was spinning.
Right. Anyway, it's nice to have you all here. You've been in Toronto, I feel like just like a couple of months ago, wasn't it? You were here?
like a month ago.
September. It was a
October.
sold out show. I had someone I'm from Guelph, Ontario. I don't live in Toronto. And someone was pestering me to get into your show because they think I'm connected there. I'm not connected.
Dang.
But they think I'm so
Well, now you are.
connected. And I couldn't.
Was he also Indian?
Oh man, no, it was a woman, and she's not. And no, and anyway, a lot of mania for you here in Toronto. It seems like. Is this a favorite stop for you guys, Brandon?
I think so. I mean, we've always had good shows here.
That's
I don't know.
Yeah,
And
does it stick out?
Everyone's a maniac here, so it's
In
just-
Toronto?
Yeah.
A maniac.
I mean, the mania, like you were
Oh,
speaking.
I
of,
see.
everyone's just
Right.
foaming at the mouth and, barging through doors and throwing feces and everything.
I've not
It's crazy.
heard this.
It's crazy.
I've come to shows in Toronto before.
Have you come to a FIDLAR show?
No, I've never
before?
come to a
Yeah.
FIDLAR show
lot
in
of
Toronto.
feces
Is it
and
really?
mouth
It's
foam.
like a Gigi
Yeah.
Allen thing going on.
And not by us. It's more
Oh.
just by the audience.
We're a couple crazy shows at the Horseshoe though.
The Horseshoe.
Oh.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Well, there's
About
that
that
one
venue.
we did during Canadian Music Week. It wasn't at the
Oh.
Horseshoe, but the kid like jumped off the balcony into the crowd. Remember that?
Yeah, and the
Great
kid
Hall or something.
Yeah, the Great Hall.
Yeah, that was it.
and the kid jumped on stage and pulled down his pants. And
Oh, yeah.
stage dove.
Yeah.
The same
And
kid.
everybody moved. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
There
god.
The
is
Canadians really like pulling your clothes off.
Yeah, just
Not me. I like to stay bundled. I don't
Yeah.
really like to show off.
keep it covered.
Yeah, I don't. You see me. I can't. I'm not going to pull that up. Well, that's. Do you have any? Does that happen anywhere else, Zach? Like, do you get crazed fans doing stuff like that, or does this memory sticks out for being a Canadian thing? Nudity and jumping.
I think Canada's always had pretty wild shows for some reason. I think you guys have a lot of pent up energy up here. You know,
Pent-up-
A lot of pent up angst that needs to get
You guys are all
released.
backed
A lot of
up. You guys need to
tension.
What?
masturbate more
I
or
didn't-
something.
I didn't-
you know,
I
what
don't
mean?
think that's true.
You guys are so repressed.
Are
you know?
we? I thought we were fun loving and
Well, I think
free
it's-
with our
It's
masturbation.
all on the outside, You're all polite on the outside.
Right.
And there's just this volcano boiling
Yeah.
below.
There's a line on your new record. I don't know who's responsible for it. I assume perhaps Zach or Elvis about wanting to move to Canada. Who's responsible for that line?
Oh, that was me.
That was you.
Yeah.
How serious is that?
Well, it was just kind of a funny thing because it was during like the election time.
Oh, I see.
In America, and everybody's like, "If Donald Trump gets elected president, like I'm moving to Canada. Fuck it, moving to Canada."
Yeah.
Da, da, da. It's like nobody did.
Nobody did.
Do you think nobody did? I bet somebody.
I bet
must
some
have.
people did, but
sure,
none
yeah.
of the people that we've talked to that did.
I heard that Naked Stage Diver was American that you were talking about.
He
Probably
crossed
was.
over.
Yeah. No. You are covering more. This is a thing that happened with your band, and I wonder what it must be like to be in it. I think you got turned into cartoons, and now everyone's with your new record, which is wonderful, by the way. I've been enjoying it. People are like, oh, they've matured. Yeah, and right. I imagine, and we're just starting the press cycle for this thing. Is that annoying to you that people had pigeonholed you as these party rockers, Elvis, and now you're socially conscious because you're talking about things like politics on your record?
Yeah, I guess it is. It's a little annoying.
A little annoying.
It is kind of annoying. Yeah, because I think in some ways, I guess we have matured just because we are older.
Sure.
And you mature, but I don't think that means that all of our music before now was immature. So yeah, so it is kind of a weird statement.
It seems to me that you've since you started, you've been talking about personal things that are, they're deep. They're deeply revealing things. They don't seem like, there is the fun stuff, but even the fun stuff has a dark side, I find.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
And the new record seems to really be wrestling with that. The notion of being sober. Is this mostly coming from you, Zach?
I'm definitely not sober anymore.
You're not at all.
Not at all.
And why is that exactly?
Because life happens and
right.
You get sober and then you're not sober. And I'm learning self-control, which is pretty difficult.
Right.
But, I think it's also at the same time, it's like we're growing up. You know what I mean? Like, it's just wild. Brandon's getting married.
Getting married.
You're getting married. Congratulations.
Yeah,
it's like we've all grown up. We were just talking about this earlier. It was like Max was 18 when we started the band. You know what I mean?
Right.
And now he's 19.
So it's a natural.
He was born in a leap year, so
So, externally, people. I think what it is also is you guys make records which are frozen things, and people associate you with that frozen thing. The young punky, we've already established that I think there was deeper stuff going on these earlier records. Would you agree with that? Do you think, Zach, that there's lots more going on than people give you credit for?
Yeah, maybe.
Does it matter to you?
I think the whole thing is we write songs on the reflection of what's going on in our life. And when, Max is 18 years old and, playing drums in FIDLAR, he's probably going to do cocaine a lot,
Is that really a...
So that's we grew up and decided...
Was there a fair amount of cocaine in your life?
There was a lot.
So much.
Max was a real fiend for the booger sugar.
I didn't realize that.
Less than 10 times, probably.
Less than 10.
Every time I went through his jackets, it's just a little baggy.
He was pack
time.
and beak from about 18 to 21, full on.
Where does that come from? Where did you get the impulse to do a lot of cocaine when you were 18, Max?
I did not do that much cocaine, I promise you. I actually probably did it less than 10.
He was hanging out on the fuckboy circuit.
Oh, man. So, that's the other side of it. For some people, this kind of stuff can be cliche. The drugs and the partying and the rock and roll. Were you worried about that at all? Being thought of as a joke at all? Did that matter to you?
Didn't even cross our mind.
It really didn't. And, it's honestly, we're to blame, too, here. Because we have a song called Cocaine. And
yes.
Treat Beer and Wake, Bake, Skate, So it's I get it. I get why people label us like that, you know, but we are evolving and we are growing, and I think this is a part of it.
But the funny thing is we don't actually party as much as people perceive us to, it's most people, I think, a lot of times we encounter people that think that it's just a full-on party all the time,
I'm eating almonds and drinking Pellegrino, dude.
That's what I would be eating and drinking. I'm a dad. That's the kind of stuff I have to eat and drink. That's a treat for me.
Yeah.
That was Max.
That would be a big
Max.
night out. Max, he ate the almonds and the Pellegrino. So, in terms of what's going on in this record, stuff you want to talk about, what are some of the themes that you feel have come up? You've had this record was done when again? It was supposed to be out a while ago.
It was supposed to be out in September. We
Right.
had it finished in August.
Oh,
It took us about a year to make.
Okay, so it's not that long ago. I just
Not
thought
that
maybe
long
you
ago.
were sitting on this thing and wondering about this thing,
No.
pondering the thing. It's pretty fresh still.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've been listening to it from your perspective, Elvis. Like, what are some things about it thematically that surprised you in terms of maybe exhibiting maturity, maybe even reflecting upon the way... I hear a lot of reflecting on past behavior, but it sounds like some of that behavior is back, if that's fair to say. Like, I viewed alcohol, like a song like Alcohol, as one of longing for alcohol from a sober perspective. That was my take on it.
Well, funny that you say that, because a lot of those lyrics were written, like, I had them written down from, like, before, like, some of them, and some of them were just made up on the spot. But I was at, like, an AA meeting, and everybody
That's when you wrote that?
Yeah, it was when everybody was talking about...
Shouldn't you have been paying attention to the meeting?
Well, I was.
Oh, okay.
And everybody was talking about drinking alcohol, and I was just like, fuck, I just really want to drink alcohol now. So
Right, and are you aware of the supercut of you talking about how rehab sucks on YouTube?
there's a supercut?
Yeah, there's like a supercut.
Like somebody that like
just took every instance of you on stage saying that rehab sucks.
That's hilarious. I love the internet, man.
Sorry,
love it.
I didn't mean to cut to. I didn't mean to cut to Zach there. Elvis, from your perspective, what are some things you're covering on this record that maybe surprise you from your, from where you were at to where you are now?
Horns.
Well, there's the musical stuff, of course. There's some real departures here. We'll talk about the production when we can in a moment. But no, I just mean lyric. I'm a lyrics person,
Right. Okay.
so that's why I ask about lyrics.
Yeah, I guess there's not something in particular that surprised me, I guess. I feel like in the same way that we kind of always have, we just try to write about things pretty honestly, and come from experiences. And I feel like that, for me personally, I guess it was maybe, trying to be a little more vulnerable or something with lyrics. Because, I think in the earlier days for me, I would you kind of hide behind like burying the vocals a little bit more and distorting them and stuff. And then now, on this record, like you can kind of hear what we're saying a little more clearly.
Absolutely.
It's not as buried. So I think that's like to me, that sort of symbolizes like putting ourselves out there a little more, like in a way that's not trying to hide behind what we're saying, I guess.
Yeah, that's fair. Brandon, from your perspective, like, do you feel like the band has shifted in the way that Elvis is describing? Does it feel different?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It seems like it's just in a different spot, and like everything, and the way like we've all matured as people growing older. It's like musically, lyrically, songwriting wise, feels like it's all like matured with it. Even if the like context is sometimes the same, of like, oh, we're talking about partying or like drinking or whatever. It's like kind of in a different light of like, that's what it seems like to me. It's like talking about drinking as someone who's been in a band where that's been a thing for a long time.
Yeah.
And like what that means now as like 30-year-olds or like, late 20-year-olds, like in a band that get the opportunity or get like that put on us a lot of like, slacker party band, they're always raging, da-da-da-da-da. And now it's like, what does that mean now?
Well, it's interesting that a few of you have all mentioned maturity, which indicates sort of time. That time has been a huge factor in shifting the sensibility of the band. So when I went to you there, Brandon, I was also wondering if you thought there was anything else. Like if it's not simply that you're evolving as people and becoming adults, pretty soon you're going to be older like me. You're going to be like super old guys. This is what it's like. This is what it's like.
Are you 40?
I am, yeah.
Oh.
41 on Saturday.
Oh, happy birthday.
Oh, thank you very much. I checked my Iron Man
41
watch.
in about
Timex Iron Man watch.
89 hours.
I was even gonna. I was gonna say.
How
30,
did you guess
I was
that?
gonna say 39, and then I was looking at your hair. And
No, this is fine.
No,
I'm
and I
here.
thought-
We're
and I thought-
looking at each. At least he's looking at me.
I went for
I was going. Sorry, no. Well, you're sick. I'm sorry. You're micless and sick. No one can hear anything you're saying. Out there, I mean, the people
over there,
listening.
dude.
No, all I'm getting at is, the time is a force, and it changes you, obviously. But also within that, experience. Like you're also as you get older, you just experience more things, and that changes you too. So I'm curious, particularly Zach, you're saying you've kind of gone, I think it's fair to say, back and forth between sobriety and whatever you want to call it now, unsobriety. Yeah. So has that experience altered the course of the band in any way, or have any experiences beyond just time that you can point to?
Yeah, I think, well, with that in particular is like, the way I look at that is like, for some reason, I mean, I think because where I ended up, my like end of drugs was like heroin, and it was basically like I was told everywhere I went, rehab or meetings or friends or something, it's like, no, you need to like stop everything, and I did for like 3.5 years, almost 4 years.
Yeah, this song By Myself, you talked about how people think you need professional help all the time.
Yeah,
and you're laughing at it.
Totally.
Yeah.
And that's was like, now that I have some distance away from that drug in particular, and just drugs in general, to be honest, like I have a different relationship with it. And the same goes with alcohol, same goes with friends. You know what I mean? Like anything, like the older you get, the less friends you have. You know what I mean? Like it's a weird balance that happens in life, you know? And by the time you get fucking 60 or 70, you know, you might have friends, but you usually just hang out with like 1 or 2 people the entire time.
You have close
you know?
friends,
Exactly.
Yeah.
But when you're 20, you have all kinds of friends, you know, like you're just kind of...
Some of them are good and some of them are bad.
Some of them are, good and bad, you know? So, yeah, it's just kind of... You're right, it's like time.
It is time, but it's experience as well.
Yeah, it's experience, yeah.
There's a lot that happens in that time.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
That's the subtext.
It's not just like, oh, it's been 2 years and we haven't been doing anything.
Right,
and now
just
it's
been in
something
stasis.
different. It's like there's been, you know, international touring as like for Zach being sober, from not being sober, and like working through that as a band, and then getting, you know, making another record, and like there's tons of stuff that happens. How does that stuff, like, you know, Max doing cocaine since he was 18, and that's still a huge issue.
Excessive amounts of cocaine.
And big contentment for that.
For those of you who don't do heroin or cocaine, and I've never said that on the show ever, how did that stuff impact you in terms of being in a band with someone who is going through these, I'll call them struggles, they might call them good times, but like, how did that impact those of you who weren't engaging, and who among you weren't? We know about Max, I know about Zach. Were the rest of you also close to close to drugs? Right. Well, I'm just curious, like, I mean, were you all in it together or not?
No, it wasn't. No, it was
it wasn't a Johnny Thunders thing, you know? It was just mainly Zach.
Zach was.
I mean, it was a hard time for us. Like, it was just you know, we went through kind of a rough patch of like figuring that out and how to, like, you know, kind of just like rebuild our relationship as a band during that time. So,
I mean, my understanding is Zach and Elvis, you were the friends in this band first, right? You became friends.
Yeah. I mean, we met at a recording studio and became friends, and then started jamming, and then.
So in terms of your friendship with Zach, Elvis, like, do you...
This is deep.
This
is deep.
Is it too deep?
No, this is good.
Oh, well, I'm just curious, like, what do you do when you see your friend going through something like this, where you know that there's danger imminent, like this is a problem? Beyond being in a band and trying to work together, your friend is, you know, this is a serious these are serious drugs we're talking about.
Totally, yeah, no, it's really scary. Like, and that was the hard part, is not knowing, you know what I mean? Like not knowing whether he was on it or not. Like, that was kind of the struggle, like, for me, I guess. It was like, we didn't know, because there were moments where it was like, you know, it seemed like that time was done, and then yeah, it's like, it's just, you know, me and Max grew up around, you know, our dad is a musician too, so we were like friends of theirs that had OD'd and died. So yeah, it's scary. It's definitely scary. It's like a hard place to live in, of like being worried, because you don't want anything to happen to your friend. Yeah,
I appreciate that. We should, for context for people listening, what band was your dad in again?
True Sounds of Liberty.
That's pretty heavy. Like, that's a big punk band, right? I mean, that's a big deal.
An acronym.
It's also an acronym, right? That's right. Just like, is that on purpose?
Not as good. Not as good as Fuck It Dog, Life's a Risk, but, you know, we'll let them slide.
I think they saw it. I think it was actually from a church. Funny, yeah. They saw. I think Ron Emery, the guitar player, saw it. on like some church in Orange County that said True Sounds of Liberty on the marquee or something, and then they just took it from that. So you were immersed. Like, what was that like growing up in a in a house where your dad's in a successful band? It was cool because he's still a musician, and for a living. So he's very supportive of us doing music and kind of gave us instruments very early on, and was kind of both my parents were just really supportive of that. It wasn't a thing where it was like, which was more of Brandon's experience, which was like you were rebelling, parents.
Brandon's like, what the fuck?
Well, no, I'm saying like his parents weren't like necessarily supportive of him being in a band, whereas my dad was like, oh, you guys should totally be in a band. That's
Brandon. What the fuck is wrong with your parents, man?
Well, I mean, they would rather me do something else.
Sure.
Or at the time when it's like, they're like, well, what, you're dropping out of college and gonna go play music, and like, what are you gonna do?
Right.
Like, I think that's a somewhat normal experience that a lot of people have with their parents.
Yeah,
I think
most
like
people, yeah.
Max and Elvis had like a cool parents in that they supported them musically, but like it happened to my brothers or most people I know that played music were like, all right, I'm out of here. I'm gonna go like follow my dreams. It works out or it doesn't.
Yeah, could have gone either way though, because your father would have had experiences and that may have wanted.
Right, true.
He might have said, you know what, stay out of this. Like, don't go into the family business. It's not for you.
He did actually. It's funny because I have a specific memory of him being like just keep rock and roll as plan B. Yeah. Like, he would still like do music, but just like rock and roll is like keep that as your backup.
It's a one in a million.
As like fucking techno. Well, I guess do what he does because he does music for commercials.
Probably not doing cocaine when you're 18. That's probably not his
probably
plan
not
A.
that.
Yeah,
but it's funny that I remember him saying. I remember him saying that specifically because he does music for commercials now. It's kind of like he still plays in TSOL, but that's not paying the bills,
right?
You
are in a situation where your band is pretty big. It's paying bills at the moment.
Paying bills.
We're able to make a living.
It's paying a few bills.
Maybe a bill. 2 to 3 bills max.
It's a tenuous time in culture. I mean, this record, I hear songs about sort of social media and how people are interacting with the world, and every musician I've had on this show in the last couple of years has been like, yeah, it's really hard. I mean, I'm and all tiers, high tiers, low tiers. Everyone's like, yeah, it's crazy how music is consumed and how undervalued it is. Do you have perspectives on that at all, Zach? Like, do you worry there's a ceiling to what you're doing? Too deep?
No, not too deep. I think the ceiling is wherever we put it. You know what I mean? Okay, yes, there is less rock bands. That's just like rock and roll music is just, it's slowly getting less and less. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's just the facts, or the data that's the data. But
the metrics?
The metrics.
The analytics.
I try to use a modern term.
But it also has opened up the way for kids to make music in such a cool way and in such a low overhead way. You know what I mean? They can literally make their records on their phone. You've
been getting kind of obsessed with SoundCloud rap, I heard.
I have been, yeah.
This notion of people just literally recording on their computers.
It's amazing. It's that to me is punk rock. That's punk, It's like I wish I had that when I was a kid. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't quite have that. We in Hawaii, everything's a little 10 years behind.
Is that where you're from? I didn't know you were from Hawaii. I hadn't covered that yet. No, it's true. That was just a little callback. Cokehead got it. Anyway, I'm just kidding.
Crackhead over there.
Terrible. He seems like such a nice guy, and I don't know this guy at all.
We're calling the sickness strep throat, but really he's hungover.
It's like the spider bite. It's like, oh man, he can't. They can't play. They had a spider bite. It's like
you didn't have a lot of people to play with in Hawaii for one thing. Is that?
Well, there's that, and also just like, I mean, we didn't have the internet until way later.
Is that right?
Compared to like when these guys had the internet,
And that did the internet change how you approach music, or?
I think it changed the way we all did.
Yeah,
I
mean, the fact that you could like put like MySpace or something, you could just put a song up, and even then, it's like you could download some program on your computer and make and it wasn't that good, and it's not like where it is now, where you could you know, like obviously the quality has gone way up from like AOL to fucking whatever it is now, but you know what I mean? Of like
corporate shout outs here. That was amazing.
No, but I'm saying like you could
Yeah.
post something on MySpace and share it with your friends, and they could listen to your music right then. You wouldn't have to like go to a studio and record, or go and get your song on like the radio or in a record store.
Yeah, MySpace was huge. That was the first thing I think all of us used with musical projects, just like posting.
Are any of them, are those pages still up?
They are actually.
No, they are up, but
I've found a couple.
Yeah, for some reason they are
ago.
up, but like for some reason you can't play the audio.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, it's a weird thing.
Maybe I
that
haven't
they've
checked in a
changed.
while, but
It
there
seemed
used
like
to
they
be-
reformatted their whole system, and then it didn't work, and they're like, "Fuck it," and
Yeah.
just left it. You know,
It sucks because that was the coolest part about it is just finding those old pages.
Yeah.
With music.
Well, that's basically why we changed. Originally, our name was Fuck the Clock.
I was going to ask about this. Like, I wanted to call a band that once.
Fuck the Clock, really?
Yeah, because Patti Smith,
Patti Smith.
Patti
Yeah.
Smith had a
Smith shirt.
T-shirt that said, "Oh, is that where you got it from?"
Yeah,
I really like that as an idea. Fuck the clock. I abide by that myself.
Yeah,
In fact, I'm not keeping time of it. How long have we been talking? Is it too long? I don't understand.
I don't know.
No. Yeah, that's weird that we all saw the same shirt on some level. I
yeah.
mean, she's not a small artist, but does she mean something to you other than like, are you fans of Patti
Yeah.
Smith?
Oh,
Love
huge.
Patti
Yeah,
Smith.
huge
Yeah,
fan.
love Patti
One of
Smith.
the first times we all hung out, we took the bus to go see Patti Smith
Yeah.
at the pier.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I've interviewed her once.
Oh, very
and
cool.
She was so sweet. We the stupid record label people said, "All right, you got 10 minutes on the phone," and I needed more than 10 minutes for the thing I was doing. And she liked my question so much. She said, "I like what you're asking me. Like no one else has asked me these things." And I'm not. This is not a brag. I find this a lot actually. Music journalists are not good.
They're terrible.
Horrible.
Is this going okay? So
You're
far?
doing.
Oh, this
you're
is
doing
Vish.
well.
You are killing it.
Anyway, she said, "I'll call you back. I want. They've got me doing all this stuff. I'm going to call you back later tonight." And she called me back, gave me an hour.
That's awesome.
Cool.
She's
Wow.
such a sweet person on that level. But anyway, we should talk about the production on this record because I think some people have noticed, those who have heard the songs already, that it's a bit of a departure. You worked with someone you've never worked with before. Is that correct, Elvis?
Mm-hmm.
Who is it?
Ricky Reed.
Ricky Reed, and he has more of a pop pedigree.
Yeah, pop and hip hop and tons of different stuff. But and he comes from playing in rock bands. So, and he actually worked. We have a lot of weird connections. Yeah, he worked
really?
at this
Yeah.
place. The first label that put out our music was White Iris.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a 7-inch, and they were a company that was also connected to a music house called Black Iris, so they would do music for commercials.
Oh, okay.
And Ricky Reed started in LA doing demos at Black Iris for commercials, and that was something that me and Zach were doing also with Black Iris. We were doing commercial demos because White Iris put out our records, and we did these commercial demos. So anyway, he knew about us back then when we started. Yeah, and then Zach became friends with him. And he wanted to work with us, and it went really well. It was a really good experience.
And I mean, this sounds very organic. It wasn't like, hey, we should get a person who can make us sound clean and make our vocals sound cleaner and all those sorts of things.
Yeah, it's a weird thing picking a producer. You know what I mean? And
also, I mean, you make other people's records.
Yeah.
How many producers are in this band right now?
I mean, we all.
I've never produced anything.
Nothing? You've not produced
Only
one
my
thing?
own stuff.
Okay. So, but I mean, you have.
We've all done a little production, but Zach has done the most.
Right,
records.
exactly. So, I mean, on some level, you could potentially make a FIDLAR record.
I definitely not ever want to do that
But
ever in my entire life.
I assume it would be difficult to be objective about your own work and your own band's work.
I think it's super rad when bands do that. Some bands do that, you know what I mean? And I think that's great, I think there's just a lot you can learn from not doing that,
Another perspective is always helpful, right?
Yeah, totally.
I mean, we basically did the first record ourselves. I mean, Zach did most of the production and engineering, and I think that was more of an organic sort of trajectory for us, where it was like, we'll just make the.
Still going.
We'll just.
What if we weren't having a good time?
No.
A minder just came by
We're
to be
all
like, "Is everyone alive? Is everyone okay?"
We're all just crying. Max is doing cocaine.
Sorry. Anyway,
No, that was it was for the first record. We just had to do it ourselves. It was kind of like
Nobody else
We're not
would.
going to go. Yeah, we're not going to go into his. Yeah, we're not going to spend. Yeah, we got a record advance and spent it on a van,
which is totally practical.
Yeah, and then
People
made the
spend-
record in Zach and Brandon's place. So that was out of necessity, and then it was kind of more natural for us to, just keep building up the band. And then when the second record came around, we decided to try, adding a fifth person.
You do learn about yourselves as a band when you make something completely by yourselves, more than like someone telling you what to do. And like touring also builds chemistry, character, these kinds of things. I assume it was probably for the best that you made at least one record totally by yourselves.
Yeah. It made me go crazy. I was doing a lot of meth at that time. I feel like I already alluded to the fact that some people view the band as kind of cartoon characters, party animals. I didn't want to dwell too much on the drug stuff, but Zach, you've mentioned by name several drugs now. And so I'm just curious about what got you into drugs. I don't know if this is too personal, a TMI or whatever. I'm just curious. That's an impulse that some people have. I don't do any drugs. I've never done any except for the prescription drugs, and I had pneumonia. I had the antibiotics, but I don't do drugs. I just never did.
Pneumonia drugs and Oxycontin. That's it.
Yeah, wow. I hope Max survives the rest of this interview. No, but I'm just curious. Do you know what it is? Like, I
grew up in a weird environment. I grew up in a weird setting. My parents were pretty out there, and grew up half of our lives in a van going all over the place. And
in Hawaii?
Hawaii and California and Japan. Yeah, it's just the way it went, when ever since I was super young. I distinctly remember hearing Velvet Underground and being like, I want to try heroin.
You heard the song Heroin?
Yeah, and I was distinctly I think I was like 12 or 13 or something like that, like really young, being like, oh, I want to try this drug, you know what I mean? And back in Hawaii, we didn't really, like, when I was growing up there. Right now there's a bunch of heroin, but back then there wasn't any, or hardly any.
How old were you when you heard this Velvet Underground song and thought?
I was young, like 12 or 13.
12 or 13. Like that felt romantic to you.
Yeah, because I think I grew up with a darkness around me, you know what I mean? Like weird situations, weird life stuff.
You sing about your parents on occasion. You, on the new record, there's a line where you say, blame my mom and dad for every girl I never had, or something along those lines. And I'm like, oh shit, man, that's heavy. Like it's kind of that song is weird, by the way. It's sort of a joke, and it's very intense. It's a
musical speedball.
It's an intense set of lyrics, I have to say, but it's packaged in this kind of fun pop thing, but I'm like, oh, geez, like that's a heavy thing to say.
Right.
You've got some issues with your parents.
I think the older I get, the better it is.
Do you get along now?
I get along now.
Okay.
And I think like growing up, it was really weird. It was just weird, bro. Like Hawaii's just weird, dude.
I've never been to Hawaii, but it sounds weird.
It's weird.
Just based on your description of it, because you said weird like 5 times.
Yeah.
I have to take your word for it.
Yeah.
Should I go there? Should I visit it? You'd
be fine.
I'd be okay.
Yeah, you'd be fine.
Why would I be okay?
Because you're brown.
Because you've never done drugs.
Yeah.
Because I'm brown. What is that? I'm not Hawaiian brown.
I know, but you totally pass. Everybody would think you're Filipino.
Yeah, when I went to Mexico, they all thought I was Mexican.
Yeah, see?
So I'm a weird shade.
We're racially ambiguous.
This is an audio podcast, so people can't see it, but I look weird. I look like no one can figure out who I am or what I am. Okay, so that have you been to sorry, this is getting a bit deep, but I had to go to therapy this year because my mom got sick, and it's okay now. Like, she seems okay, but it was I just stirred up a lot of shit. And the therapy thing is weird because they are like, all right, so you're afraid of I got health anxiety. Well, let's go and dig and figure out where that came from. Yeah. Oh, when you were at the dentist when you were 5, right. That's probably where you don't like that's why you don't like the dentist. And you're like, shit, I had buried that. Why'd you dig that up?
Yeah.
Have you ever done anything? Like, you've been to rehab and stuff, obviously. You've had to talk about this stuff?
Totally.
Has it helped you?
Yeah, immensely.
Okay. And then you write songs sometimes?
And then I write songs about them.
Okay. All right. Well, so that's the other side of this. This is an angry record on some level. It's a dark record on some level. But it's got a pop quality to it. The first song, by the way, are you guys Beastie Boys fans at all? Max in particular, just based on the drum beat for So What You Want that you copped? Is that a thing you like? Do you like the Beastie Boys? And then your delivery on it is a little kind of in between Yauk and Ad Rock, I would say.
I was actually going for Fred Durst, Limp Bizkit.
Oh,
but,
shit.
Are you big? I can take
Are you a fan of the Limp Bizkit? I don't like Limp Bizkit. Was that offensive? I'm not a big fan.
Whoa, man. Whoa.
No,
You know what? I think we are done.
no, there's a Beastie Boys thing happening.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
totally.
yeah,
We're all
absolutely.
massive Beastie Boys fans.
Okay,
It's
all right.
one thing
So
that we all kind of brought us together a lot.
objectively, do you feel like the record marks a departure on some level sonically? Like I feel it. I imagine some fans are picking up on it already. Like, do you feel that way, Elvis? Like, does it feel like a different kind of statement?
Yeah, I feel like it's I guess I think of it as a step forward. You know, yeah, it's definitely different, and I think that's important to all of us to not make the same record, you know, over and over. You know, that would be the safe choice. So I think we're trying to get out of our comfort zone.
But did this external person to the band have any like sway in that?
Yeah. I mean, not even really necessarily, you know, musically or stylistically, but just as far as like pulling it out of us, you know, like hearing things that we're doing. Oh, let's work on that thing. You know, things that for me, it was musical ideas that I didn't think would even fit with FIDLAR on my end, I guess. So like certain, you know, snippets of songs where he would hear it and see potential in it and see how it could cohesively work with the record. So in that way, he really kind of helped write with stuff too. So it's like, you know, take this idea and then let's all write together in a room. And he really helped us like collaborate.
Was there a conscious effort? Like I alluded to this earlier, that maybe people view you in a certain way based on your behavior, your past records. Did you feel pigeonholed going into making this record? Like, is this a statement record to be like? Because I think I read something along the lines of like, this record proves that FIDLAR can be anything it wants to be. Right. It's not confined to any.
I think we all knew that.
You knew that.
I think the four of us knew that. I think the outside view of the world, they didn't know that because of the press and everything that's been shown about us has been like, it has pigeonholed us, you know what I mean? But I think personally between all four of us, like we knew we could do that.
Okay.
Meaning like we didn't really put that boundaries on us, I guess.
You mean going into the record?
Going into the
You
record.
didn't go
I think
into
it was a conscious effort or the decision to try and like make a statement. I think it came naturally in the way that it was just like, we're just going to make whatever we want to make.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of, like for me, I guess I think of it as a combination of getting to a place where we are more comfortable within ourselves to go, hey, this is what's coming out, and this is what we're gonna put out is just what's coming out of us,
Yeah.
and also like, you know, if you look at our past catalog, it actually is pretty like diverse, you know. It's not,
the records
a
are
lot of
very
the stuff-
dynamic. Like there's like I have thought that before.
There's a lot of different styles, and even, you know, just songs that we posted online even before our first record came out. There's a lot of, we've always had that, and I think, like you were saying, alluding to, a lot of journalists aren't very good and don't.
I wasn't trying to
really
put down my tribe, but yeah.
But it's true though. I mean, we've been doing a lot of interviews recently, but you know, a lot of people, I don't think, like, you know, look at the whole picture and try to understand
the trajectory, or
just just kind of everything that goes into being a band, or even like doing the research of knowing what we have put out, or what that you know, we have had different styles of music before, and it hasn't always been just loud and fast, you know.
Yeah, no, I think that's.
I think
pretty
too, going kind of like with what Elvis was saying, just on the production front, like Ricky was really good at like the different ideas that were coming out that maybe seemed different, of like encouraging those ideas rather than being like, oh, it's a little weird for you guys, you know. Like he kind of like could see something in it that maybe we couldn't, or were like insecure about.
Elvis said the same thing. Like the fact that there was even any thought that this maybe isn't for FIDLAR is fascinating to me, because talking to you guys and hearing the way and reading interviews with you, like you seem very open-ended listeners and open-ended musicians. So the notion that you even had an inkling, like, I don't know if this is for us, is striking to me.
Yeah, that might be me personally too. I mean, I was just maybe like, you know, in my head a little scared to do that or something. So it was kind of like pushing through that, like, fuck it, you know, let's just.
The second records to tend to like have a effect on people, right? Like, you guys, like, it's just the idea of like, what are we going to do? A different kind of record? Like, just you've had your entire life to write the first record, and then you have this allotted amount of time to write the second record. Yeah. I'm sure that kind of played into maybe some of the like questioning, right? Like with, like, is this a FIDLAR song? Like, what kind of songs are it or whatever? Like, I felt that was more of a thing on the second record, and then this one it was kind of more free.
Yeah, I always find the second batch of songs you write as a band is maybe the best.
It's just weird. It's
not the best, but it's like, oh,
thanks.
No, I didn't mean it that way. I just mean you kind of figure yourselves out a bit better.
But I guess, I mean, for me, and probably I think for us as a whole, it's like second record was a little more like you just get to this, you know, you reach this point where you've toured a bunch, and it's like, all right, make the second one, and then there kind of is this pressure to deliver to the world something similar to what you've already put out. Because you think in your head, you're like, okay, well, this is what people expect, and we kind of have to, like, you want to make people happy. And then this record, it was more about, you know, just letting go of that a little bit, I think.
Well, like I said, it's a fantastic record. I know you guys got to eat. You got a show to play. I don't want to keep you much longer. You've already given me more than enough time. I'm just a shitty music journalist, for crying out loud. But
just one of those music journalists.
Before we go, you know, the record's done. It's been done, I guess, only a few months. Do you have a sense of what's next for your band in terms of have you written new songs? What's going on? I know you got tour dates probably coming up.
We're going to do a musical called FIDLAR on the Roof. We're actually doing it. It's going to be a rendition of FIDLAR on the Roof, but it's going to be based on modern times.
Is this a running joke that I'm just catching up on? Is that?
I mean, I guess you'll have to wait and see
no,
how funny it is.
We have a meeting with Bette Midler.
Yeah.
14th. So
we. You know, our band started as a joke, so you never know.
Exactly.
You have a concept record in mind that might be related to the famous... No. Okay, so nothing. The answer is nothing,
we have a lot of shows
touring,
to play.
We have a lot of shows, and, you know, I'm hoping we have another record out next year.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
that's
just why not just keep going?
Just keep going, yeah.
You know
you got songs? Do you have new songs?
Working on some ideas here and there.
Yeah, I mean, there's always like little bits and pieces.
Okay.
Floating around in the ether.
That's good. So if we could play one song from the new record. Oh, I didn't even ask about the almost free. What does that mean? It's not about death, is it? Sometimes I feel like
it is
it's
about
like we're
death.
free, but then we're not free because we're almost free, and it's just a reflection on the state of the world.
He's gone total Hawaiian. He just went really Hawaiian on us, guys. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
It's like land of the free, home of the brave, but is it? You know?
Almost.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's okay. I cracked the code. All right, glad I asked that final question. Jeez. Is there a song we can go out on? Anything you want to pick? Any one of you?
Just any song,
No. From the new FIDLAR album, Almost
Can't
Free.
You See?
Can't You See?
Can't You See?
Why, the Beastie Boys?
No, that's Get Off My Rock.
That's right, Get Off. By the way, Get Off My Rock is an angry thing to say. And I was trying to figure out what it meant, but yeah. No,
do you know what it means?
I don't exactly. Well, wait a minute. Does it mean...
It's Hawaii. It started off as
you want
Get
people
Off My
to,
Block.
Right.
And it's a song about gentrification.
I figured it was about the island, an island of some kind, and you were angry that people are in Hawaii?
Yeah.
Like, do you live there still?
It's half of the time.
Okay, you still live there. Okay, so you have a right to say Get Off My Lawn. This next song, what did you pick again? You picked
Can't You See?
Can't You See, which this is like a social media type song. Is that fair to say, Elvis?
Sure.
We made it to post on social media.
It's a song maybe reflecting how people...
I think it's reflecting more on Los Angeles.
Oh, specifically.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think...
but isn't Los Angeles the ultimate Instagram city?
Yeah,
that's true.
Showing off shit you have and like...
Yeah.
And it's a really hooky, infectious song. Reminds me a little bit of like Stone Roses or something.
Oh, that's really funny.
Is that weird?
Because that's what our dad said about it.
Oh, really? I'm sorry. I am like your dad. I'm like your new dad. I'm like the FIDLAR dad.
No, it was he said it and one other person said it and I don't hear it and I don't know.
It's got like a baggy. It's called baggy. I think it's called baggy music.
I think there is there might be a song that I haven't heard that has
played me the song that he thought it was and I didn't hear it.
Well,
I love the Stone Roses too. Like,
Max has been doing a lot of blow though, so I don't know if he can really hear.
I also thought
ears are mixed.
I also vaguely thought of Waiting Room by Fugazi.
Yeah.
So
I heard that. Somebody said it was a Ty Segall and Red Hot Chili Peppers, and I thought that was really funny.
Well, it's beautiful singing too, if I might say. Like it's a really beautiful song. Okay, brand new music by FIDLAR. Thank you so much for being on my show. I hope this was somewhat enjoyable, and I wish you the best of luck in all future endeavors, and that Toronto works out well for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey,
Giving him the mic now. He's done. The interview's done.
Hey,
all right, Max,
guys.
you want to have a chat? Thank you very much again to FIDLAR for appearing on this, the 455th episode of Creative Control, which is part of the Entertainment One podcast network and is available on all iOS and Android platforms and also on all sorts of other things, too, that I can't even keep track of. It's on Spotify and YouTube and Audio Boom and all sorts of things. If you can't find a particular episode that you've heard about and you're looking for it on any of those platforms, or if you want to learn more about me and sign up for my regularly scheduled newsletter, please visit my website, vishkhanna.com. You can like Creative Control on Facebook, follow the show on Twitter at vishcreative, or follow me directly at vishkhanna. You can also listen to a radio show version of Creative Control on Wednesdays at noon Eastern Standard Time, around the world at cfru.ca, or on an actual radio at 93.3 FM if you're in or near Guelph. Also visit patreon.com/Creative Control to make a flexible monthly donation and keep this podcast going. I'd like to thank Pizza Trokadero, The Bookshelf, Planet Bean Coffee, and Grandad's Donuts for their in-kind support of this show. Thank you also to my dear friend Jim Guthrie, who lends me a song every week on this program. It's called The Rest Is Yet to Come. It's the instrumental version of that song, and you can learn more about Jim at jimguthrie.org. And finally, thank you. Thank you for listening to this show and you know, subscribing to it and telling your friends about it and spreading the word. It helps. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you're new to the show, welcome. There's obviously 454 other episodes, so get cracking. What are you waiting for? Listen to all of them in a row. binge listen if that's something people do. Anyway, thank you once again for listening and all that stuff, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye for now.